Dungeons and Dragons and Games Workshop. There are two words that I never thought they'd have anything in common. And now they have aligned and they have everything in common. Monetization, revenue stream, ejecting the player base. Just who cares about the current player base? It's only about acquisition of new players, controlling licensing, controlling fan creator content. That sounds like Games Workshop. That is now D&D. D&D called up GW and was like, look, give me the playbook. The secret playbook that exists, give it to me. We're implementing this not over the course of 3 to 5 years. We're doing it now. So this leads into this vlog with that framework. Open gaming license. It's done. It's over. It's gone, right? Content creators for D&D, the ability for them to create in the D&D setting, produce stuff beyond homebrew. Meaning, yes, you're writing your own campaign. I write my own campaign. I've got my own maps. I utilize that in D&D. I write my own adventures, but that stays within my gaming group and how I play. The ability to create content and bring that to the market and sell that as a D&D enthusiast, that's done. That's over. They want that revenue stream. So recent news in shutting that down, and with D&D Beyond, D&D 1, turns out D&D 1 is not for everyone. It's just for new players. They're looking to do two things. They're looking to monetize D&D and make it a revenue stream. We explored this idea of traditionally, where's the revenue with D&D? Whatever edition. You buy some books, you buy some dice. That's it. As a dungeon master, you buy a couple of modules. Maybe you buy some of the premium dice that they put out with the new module releases, and there's revenue there, but it requires action. It requires investment. It requires resources, right? We're going to put out a new module for D&D that requires investment, resources, printing, bringing it to market, all those logistics. Well, why don't I just get you to pay me $24.99 a month forever? That's a better revenue stream. So this idea of D&D Beyond really opening up to a subscription system. You don't own any D&D and you'll like it. And they'll release monthly subscriptions at different tiers, seasonal passes, additional content, premium content. And you're just going to pay for it every month and every month and every month for the D&D experience. That's a good revenue stream. But what you have to do in addition to that is choke off any other sources, eliminate them. So by eliminating premium fan content, now they control everything. What is that going to do to the D&D community? Now, I'm sure D&D players that are just going to shrug their shoulders and say, well, look, that really doesn't affect me. I'm still going to play D&D. There'll still be fan content out there. There'll still be good stuff out there. So, what's the big deal? Yes, it's pay to play. It's Magic transferred over to D&D, but it's not going to affect me. But it is. It's a huge blow to the community. I know a few D&D content creators, some that I've collaborated with, others that we've talked, and a few that I regularly use their modules and their products. These are top tier products. They are investing a full-time job into creating their compendiums, their additional monster manuals, their map kits specific to D&D at levels that I've got a great imagination. I've been playing D&D a long time, but I don't have the tools and talent to produce what they're doing. They're doing this as a full-time job, some while working a full-time job, others while having this as a primary source of income. It's not a full-time job, and any money that they make, they're pumping back into their product. That is free support for D&D. These other products that you see, going to Twitter and looking at some of the content creators there and what they're doing. No more D&D portraits for you. Done. Absolutely done. Over, right? That is going to affect the community massively. And if you can only purchase official D&D stuff, that's going to put a stranglehold on it. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. A lot of D&D players and D&D content creators are like, no way. This is impossible. It's not going to happen. Where Games Workshop enthusiasts, Warhammer 40K players are like, you guys have no idea what's going to happen. Oh, D&D, they won't come after us. They won't do that. Absolutely they will. Just kind of internet search, Google up what Games Workshop was doing, right? Previously with their playbook, Games Workshop, and I'm going to summarize a little bit here, but it fits perfectly to D&D. Warhammer 40,000 is a miniature war game, and you have various factions in the game. There are miniatures that represent those factions and those models. So if you have a Land Raider tank, there is a specific Land Raider model. Well, there were, at different times, there were various units in the game that didn't have models. The model didn't exist. It was like a special character or a special variant tank. And as a player, you needed a model to represent that. Some players took a similar model and maybe changed it up a little bit, but it has to represent what it is on the table. An entire industry sprung up of producing models to fill these models that were not produced by Games Workshop. So imagine a character class in Dungeons and Dragons, and D&D produces miniatures for those character classes that you can utilize in your game. But there is a character class that they haven't gotten around to creating a miniature for yet. So yeah, you could proxy a cleric or you could proxy a fighter, but you're like, I really wish there was a miniature that represented this character class. Well, other miniature makers said, hey, we looked at the lore of D&D. We looked at kind of the artwork and what we think it would look like. And look, here's like 5 or 10 miniatures that you can utilize. What's wrong with that, right? It's not copying anything. You're creating an independent miniature. Well, Games Workshop went after the companies, and one company in particular, producing these miniatures. They're not copies. They're not knockoffs. They were implemented miniatures to use in the game. You could use them in any type of game. They went after them. They threw money at it. They shut it down. So if you think that you're going to produce your D&D content, and again, I'm not talking about a homebrew level where I hand it out to my friends and we play locally, but if you think you're going to be producing the type of premium content and promoting that through Twitter and other things like YouTube and producing and selling that content using anything that's D&D, that's done. That's done. And they're going to implement it so fast, so swift. D&D 1 is sounding more and more cringeworthy. Not the rules itself. All the players are like, oh, well, we love 5th. Really, just don't mess with the rules. And yeah, you're getting rid of certain things. That's okay. It's expected. But just keep it like D&D. And they're like, wow, okay, D&D 1 is still going to be like D&D. It's the other nature of it. It's the corporate control. And that's just antithesis to D&D. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Well, it's here. How is it going to affect things? We'll see. We'll see. Generally I'm a positive person, but with this, I've seen what Games Workshop has done over the years. And D&D just took that playbook and is implementing it page by page. Just absolutely. And with the capital and the financial and the legal might behind D&D, it's going to happen. The question is, for you as a player, for you as content creator, for you as D&D enthusiast, D&D 1, how does that change things?